Hey, you want to see something really scary?
What's your favorite scary movie?
I'm gonna scare the hell out of you.
What was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
What's blood for, if not for shedding?
Welcome to Fright Night.
Welcome back to Jump Scare. I'm Betty.
And I'm Chad.
This week we're actually talking about two movies, but we wanted to open the podcast up to discuss Tony Todd.
Yeah, he passed away last week, and he's been in so many different, besides just horror movies, all across genres that just kind of felt like we had to acknowledge that he passed.
You met him twice.
Yeah, I got to meet him twice. I think I posted the pictures on our Instagram of it. But yeah, very nice both times. The first time I talked to him about the series of westerns he did in the 90s with Christopher Reeve called The Black Fox. He seemed very excited that someone had actually seen those. I told him that they were actually quite good when it came to renting. They were out all the time.
Wow.
There weren't a lot of westerns available in the 90s, at least good ones. So they did really well.
Bad Girls? Are we counting Bad Girls? Just kidding.
Yeah, that one did well too because it said special sexy unrated version on it.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
Yeah. All you had to do was put that on there and people were renting it like crazy. But yeah, he's, I first remember seeing him in the remake of Night of the Living Dead, where he played the Ben character.
Wow, I have not seen that.
Yeah, it's not bad. Everybody just, it was one of the remakes that came after the Holy Trilogy. You had The Thing, The Fly, and The Blob that everybody loved, and then Night of the Living Dead came and everybody was like, it's okay. It doesn't really change too much from the original. It just changes the ending.
Do you have a favorite Tony Todd performance? Well, we'll stick within the horror genre.
Within the horror genre, besides Candyman, which is kind of the classic, I really loved him in Final Destination.
Oh yeah, as Death?
Yeah. It was just, we know he was Death.
Yeah.
There's no way he wasn't because he just kept showing up wherever those fuckers were at and just being like, see you soon, guys.
I meant to ask you that they're coming out with a new Final Destination film, and do you think that he was in it at all?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything, but even the one that he wasn't in physically, he wasn't available for whatever reason, part 3, he's the voice of the devil that's guiding people into the roller coaster. So even if he wasn't able to shoot a physical scene for it, maybe they'll have his voice in it or something.
Wait, what? What did you just say? He was the voice of the devil luring the people into the roller coaster?
There's a thing that says "Ride the Devil" or something.
Oh, okay.
And he's the voice of it, saying,
I thought this was
"Come
a Christine situation where the Final Destinations film took a whole other route, and it was the devil was working his evils through
I can't remember what the roller coaster
rides.
was. It was the demon, the devil, something like that.
Yeah.
And he was the voice of it, calling everybody in. So you're come on down, ride the demon, or whatever it was. I can't remember now, but yeah. And of course, I saw him a lot on Star Trek throughout the 90s and early 2000s too. He popped up as Worf's brother, and then he was on a bunch of different episodes of Voyager and some of the others playing other characters.
Then he was in Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just saw that it was just on TV. They were honoring him.
Yeah, Pluto TV was doing a marathon of all the Star Trek episodes he was in. The DS9 one, that was the one where he played the future version of Jake Sisko, which they would later shamelessly rip that episode off for an episode of Enterprise.
What? Star Trek stole from themselves?
Yes.
They have never done this.
No, it's a shock.
So out of character.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd like to, I'm sure he'd like to be, that's work when you're on a series like that, and then also to work with all the other people. It's just really cool. Of course, obviously, I love him as Candyman. And I saw that movie, I lived, I want to say I lived in New York at the time that movie came out. When did Candyman come out?
92.
92. Okay, yeah, I did actually still live in New York at that time. And, I remember watching that at an early age, and yeah, he freaked me the fuck out.
Now, I've mentioned this to other people before, but
Oh yes, we actually did a post about this on one of our website or one of our pages. But go ahead with the theory.
This is my theory. The Candyman took place in Cabrini Green. The show Good Times took place in Cabrini Green.
Cabrini Green.
The dad disappeared in Good Times at the end of near the end of the 4th season. He was just gone. He was out of the show because he didn't want to be in it anymore. And they explained he went to work on the Alaska pipeline and he died. My theory is that he was actually killed by the Candyman, and that was just a story they told everyone, so they didn't have to, explain that he was found hook murdered by the Candyman.
Yeah, because he went to work on an Alaskan mine or whatever. Come on, that's super far away. You're not gonna. Who's going? Especially at that time, who's going to Alaska? Who's gonna be that you when you want to cover something up, you always make the person seem really far away. Oh, they're in Finland. You're never gonna go there.
Yeah, so no one's gonna go check up on that.
No.
So yeah, I always thought that was funny that he was. The other thing that I always thought was hilarious was that the Candyman took such good care of that baby for so long.
He sure did. Tony Todd was like, "Look, I'm not gonna be in a film where we hurting babies, so I'm gonna let you know right now. I'm feeding it honey, even though technically is the baby over 1 because you're not supposed to give it honey.
No, that baby was not over 1.
So he couldn't give it honey. So he went down to La Bodega, okay, and he got that baby milk.
Yeah, can you imagine the Candyman comes in carrying the baby and he's got the baby in the arm, he's got the hook out, and he comes in, it's getting formula and everything. Do you think he pays, or do you think they just hand him whatever he wants?
That motherfucker just walks out because the cashier's like, no, I'm looking the other way. Oh, what? I have to reorganize and alphabetize the cigarettes behind me. That's what I'm doing. I don't see anyone coming in with a hook and a baby that's 7 feet tall. Nope.
Yeah, they were not going to stop him. But yeah, he was diapering that baby, changing him, getting rid of him, putting the powder on, everything. He was doing everything he needed to do to take care of that baby.
Maybe that's later on would inspire one of the members of the Wu-Tang Clan because they have the Killer Bees. They saw him walk into the bodega getting the fucking baby milk. They were like, we need to rap about this shit. We spitting this shit out. That's what's happening. So yeah. So right. He will definitely be missed. He was one of those ones I remember when we went to see the remake of the remake sequel of the Candyman, that when he popped on near the end, the whole auditorium just applauded because people love that guy. He was just one of those icons that we probably won't see again. No, but and also such a distinguished, well-carried gentleman. Yeah, as a human being, and and he was the first and really only African American slasher guy. That's true. He's the only one, and even though technically he did not kill a lot of people, his kill count is very low that we know of. Well, it goes back hundreds of years. We only saw a couple of movies of things, but we didn't see it. It didn't happen. So that's. And then if he was death in the Final Destination, he racked up a real big kill count in that one. He did not. He's just a harbinger of souls. He's not out there killing the people. That's just shit happens. Yeah, just the soap falls under your feet mysteriously. You fall on the line in the shower. Yep. It was your time. You can't control that. But farewell, rest in peace, Tony Todd. We're gonna move on now to talk about the first of our movies, which is Lore.
Open up, you witchy pricks! Pete!
Before any man set foot on this soil, there was an evil here. There is a custom that we carry out on every tour.
Charlie?
You tell a story that you fear, a fable that haunts you. It's a way of feeding the evil. Who's brave enough to talk to the dead?
You are good. A bit old school, but I like it. Nothing is coming.
Not the 2012 one. Not the one that's based on a podcast that probably has a longer name that's on Amazon. Not that one. This one is from... It was released in 2024. So, but there's also a 2023 thing. So I think it's like made 2023, officially released 24. So we're going to go... When you look it up, you're going to put Lord 2024. You know, anthology films. This is an anthology film. We want to try to, because it is new and it is available on Amazon Prime, Roku for free, Apple TV. It's streaming several different places. You can catch this one. But, you know, I do not like doing spoil-free episodes because it's so difficult to talk about them, and they're just, you can't really get into it, the meat of it all. But this is an anthology. There's 4 stories,
which I think is a good amount, because some of these anthologies try to put like 10 or 12 different stories in.
That Halloween one, that's so terrible. And I'm definitely obviously not talking about Trick or Treat. I'm talking about Tales of Halloween, where there's like 29 stories and there's only one good one. That's obviously my opinion, but I agree with you. You just keep it short and sweet.
I think 3 or 4 is about the limit for it.
For me, I agree with this, but also you have to have a good wraparound. I do not care for the short story, like anthologies that do not have a wraparound. There are them, obviously, they're out there. But I feel like story-wise, it's just a better flow, and it's a bookend. You start with something and you end with something. And then you got the meat in the middle, and they all connect to one another. If you have a film that just, it's an anthology, and then the person's just... it depends on the formatting, because that Mortuary... That one that came out.
The Mortuary Collection?
Yeah, I enjoyed that one. I don't remember if there's a wraparound. I think there is. There is a wraparound.
It's
but do the
Clancy
stories
Brown,
connect?
I believe, at the beginning of that.
Yes, it is.
I don't think the stories really connect, but they're all like being told by the same person.
You see, that's how it works. The stories themselves don't connect. There is a wraparound, but the stories in the meat of it, they don't connect to one another like Trick or Treat. But because the format is that they're telling these stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's the whole thing. So they're going to be different. There's not going to be a connection.
That's why I like that Twilight Zone movie that never really... I never really liked that Twilight Zone movie they did in the early 80s, because it never seemed to, like... There's no connection in those stories. It just goes from one to the other.
Do you want to see something really scary?
Yeah, there's that at the beginning and that at the very end. That's the only connection. But yeah, that's the only part of that I love, is the beginning and the end. But yeah. So this one's got like 4 stories in it, and the main guy that kind of ties all the stories together in this is Richard Brake.
Which, when I saw him, I was like, okay. We're down for something now.
Yeah, because you know him from Game of Thrones, from the Rob Zombie films, from a lot of different... Anytime he shows up, he's in the most recent remakes of The Strangers that they're doing, that Chapter 1, Chapter 2. But yeah, he's one of those guys that even if the movie's not exceptional, when he always brings it 100%, you know?
He's not fucking around. He's like, I'm an actor, and I'm bringing it.
Yeah, you can always count on him to elevate it. Even a movie that's not that great, he brings it up to an okay movie. It's kind of like the Ron Perlman effect. Ron Perlman can be in a bad movie and make it an okay movie.
And he's like the Crypt Keeper in this movie.
Yeah. And I feel like they definitely should have known something was wrong earlier than they did.
As soon as they arrive, so this is following 4 hitchhikers, or 4 hikers, I'm sorry, that are out for like an immersive experience. And they're informed that they get to the experience and they have to pitch their own tents, and do the whole shebang. When it's time to like get around the campfire, Richard Brake is like, oh, ha ha ha, this campsite is actually built on an ancient burial ground. And you're like, oh, fuck.
This is not good.
Yeah. And, you know, of course, there's a story behind the ancient burial ground and how it's like seeking blood for like years. So many people have been taken in, you know, by the wild.
Yeah.
And the only way to like feed it or to like keep it at bay is to tell these stories.
And then everyone has their own story that they tell.
Now, I will say, and I may be biased, but there's 4 individuals, as we stated earlier, 2 women, 2 men. And it starts off with the first story is called Shadows. And a man is the one that says that story. I think that the girl stories are actually better than the men's stories. You know what? No, they're equal. I take that back. They're just as equal, because that second story is a woman's story, and I don't care for that story.
So on the which is the second one?
The Hidden Woman.
Yeah, that one was the one. That was kind of the weakest one of the anthology, I thought.
It was definitely the weakest one.
I thought my favorite. What is the one with the couple?
Cross Your Heart.
Cross Your Heart. I think that was my favorite of them. And that one's
Keychain Man.
Keychain Man is good too. Those are probably my 2 favorites of the 4. The Shadows is good, and then the other one was the one I didn't really care for, The Hidden Woman. The Cross My Heart is the guy who wants to be a swinger, and be careful what you wish for.
For sure. Oh, that's right, because we're not giving away too much.
Yeah. The Keychain Man one is the people who go to the movie theater to watch a horror movie at midnight, and like is known to happen, things go very badly there.
Yeah. What I will say in that one is that you should not belittle your employees. Okay? Especially when they may be 7 feet tall. Okay? I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah. The Shadows one is pretty good. It's
I would say the guy's being like followed by like goons. Like he owes these people money. We don't really know. It seemed kind of personal. Like maybe it was working for like one of those. I don't want to say Scottish, but like one of those like like gangs,
or
like
something.
Yeah, like kind of like their version of the mob kind of people.
Yeah. They're doing some kind of. It's not really drugs. It's some kind of shady like protection or gambling racket or something like that.
So the guy goes and he's like hiding in the warehouse, but there may or ... may not be something lurking in the warehouse.
Yeah.
That it's literally like you have a monster chasing you and you go to like hide yourself somewhere, but alas, there's even a bigger, stronger monster there. Yeah. So it's like, oh, okay, kind of thing. So he's trying to outrun these people that kill him, but then he runs into some other fuckery.
Yeah.
Now so mine would be, I don't know if I like the Keychain Man. I feel like each one of these has like a different like subgenre. The Keychain Man obviously is like slasher.
Yeah.
Right?
The Cross My Heart is more kind of a little bit into the...
I would say like folk horror.
Folk horror, a little bit into the erotic thriller kind of thing too,
Yeah.
The Hidden Woman is...
the ghost story.
The Shadows
Monster.
Monster. So
no, I'm just going for the one words.
Yeah, they all go into different ones, and I'll say this: even the Hidden Woman, which is my least favorite of them, all of them are very well shot. And they're all very well acted. Everyone does a great job with all the performances are fine. The cinematography is good in all of them. They're all very moody, very creepy. Really puts you in the feeling that you're there. It's just that some of them I think were a little more effective than others.
I agree.
Now, this was written and directed by, it was written by 4 people. It was written by Patrick Michael Ryder and Christine Barbara Ryder, and then James Bush and Greg Johnson. And with the exception of Christine Ryder, they all directed different segments of it as well.
If someone asked me to be like, okay, explain this movie, I would say it was a like creep show styled like anthology meets The Ring.
Yeah.
That's how I would describe this movie. And I'm just going to leave it there, and I'm not going to say anything else. I did really like the ending.
Yeah.
The ending is very clever.
Yeah, this is a very clever ending, and the wraparound, it really pays off in this one. I'm going to give this one 3 knives.
Ooh, okay. You know, I always have such a difficult time rating these things. Because I always want to rate my ratings against other films that I've seen, so I can't be like, oh, this is a 3, but then I said this other one was a 3 and this one whatever, that kind of thing. I'm gonna go with 2.5 knives.
Okay. All right, our next one that we're going to talk about is called Children of the Pines.
Is this your first time seeking guidance? What's her name?
Riley. She hasn't been home in a long time. She's coming home soon.
Mom said you have kids living with you.
Who are these kids?
You're not the man you were yesterday.
Children will be an absolute blessing.
All right, now this was written and directed by Joshua Morgan, and interestingly enough, he was only 17 when he wrote it, and then 18 when he got to direct it. He's actually from the Tampa area, so he's actually from around our area. Now, this one it revolves around a woman named Riley. She's a college student who's coming back to visit her parents for the first time in a while. They've been estranged for a long time. And she gets back there and finds out that they have become very good friends with her ex-boyfriend that she left behind when she went to college. And that there's also something very creepy going on at the house. And they've got 2 kids there now that she doesn't really know where the kids came from. And things get very creepy and very weird very fast. This does have a very creepy, weird kind of David Lynch vibe to it.
Who's his favorite guy, right?
Yeah, I think he enjoys David Lynch because this is very much a very the film is beautiful. Where they shot this, it's up in the mountains, and it's one of those areas where anywhere you point the camera is just beautiful scenery. You're standing out in front of the Walgreens, beautiful mountains behind you with snow, and it just makes an amazing picture. I can't imagine you could get a bad shot in this place. And then the housing and everything, the house when she goes to it, it's a very good set design and all that. It looks like a real place, Sometimes when they go to these things, the house looks very much like, oh, this is an empty house that we rented and threw a few sticks of furniture in to have people set on, and that's that. This kind of reminds me of It Follows, where it's the house feels a little cramped, a little lived in, it looks a little messy, things are, I like that kind of thing in it. And like I said, this is another one where the performances are great. Everyone is very creepy and very, right away talking to the people in the town, there's something wrong. You can tell that there's something up with her ex. The family, the mom and dad, right away you get oh, there's something bad going on here. My only problem with it is that it's a little slow paced for me.
Oh, okay, I was actually waiting for you to be done with your bit because I felt like maybe we should do a he said, she said thing. You gave all the positives of the film. Now I'm going to talk about all the negatives.
It was a little slow. I mean, it wasn't that long of a movie, but it was just very slowly paced.
Yeah, I agree. Was slowly paced. Everything you said about the film is more or less correct. I the slow pace of it is really, really hurt. Like, it hurts. Like, how slow it is. Not only that, I mean, kudos. This is, obviously someone out here making their first film, like I said, like you said, shot wonderfully. But it's like if this was a Stephen King novel that was literally created for film, word for word, from Stephen King. Meaning every single thing is described. There's monologues galore. There's a lot of talking. And I get that there has to be character development. There just needs to be a way to do it where it doesn't take 20 minutes, for a conversation to be had about really nothing. I mean, it really slows the movie down. And I feel like if it would have been shorter and gotten, I don't want to say to the point faster, because you want to be in that environment. You want to feel what's going on. The dread, the isolation, all of that thing, all of those things that take into play with the film, what the parents are going through, like why they make this decision, but seeing so many of these right off the bat when the mom is having this very painful conversation, because I feel like it took 3 hours for this conversation to go through with the therapist. Yeah. Right at the beginning of the movie, I was like, this is a cult. This woman is in a cult, because she was so creepy looking. But that goes into what you're saying, the performances. The people were just like Richard Brake was committed to his performance. Everyone here was committed to their performance. So I have nothing negative to say in that regard. It felt very made for TV. If the made for TV would have allowed for that long. And what's crazy? How long is the actual film?
It's like an hour and 30 minutes, maybe a little more, like an hour and 32 or something like that.
Yeah. But it feels like it's 3 hours long.
I feel like they could have cut probably 15 minutes out of this easily.
I feel like they could have cut more than 15 minutes, but yes.
It's a good film, but it would be a great film if it was an hour, like maybe an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah. There's psychological, it's not... This is not for you if you're into like slashers. If you're into more like a Lifetime horror film, this would be it. This would be Lifetime's version of a horror film.
It's like trauma horror.
Yes, trauma for sure. Trauma horror. Yes, I agree. 100%.
This one, like I said, I enjoyed it for what it was. It just needed to be trimmed down a little bit. I feel like this is something that happens with a lot of first-time writers, first-time filmmakers. They don't like to cut it down. They wrote this. They love it. Yeah. They got it on. Then we're going to put all this on the screen because this is my vision, man.
They're too close to it and they can't get away. Yeah. They're like, well, this has to happen because this, and you can't have this without that. And they're very much involved. Obviously, this is their baby, so they're very protective of it, and it's very hard to let go. But I'm actually surprised that, did he fund the movie himself? Like,
I'm not sure, but I'm surprised that somebody didn't step in and try to cut this down.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
or maybe they did. Maybe this is the cut down version.
That's very true. It, like A Violent Nature, that mofo was walking around for like fucking 20 hours.
When they reshot that movie, twice, they said?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, he just was walking and walking and walking. Like, yeah, it's just endless. But, yeah, I really like the story needed to be tweaked a little bit because there were some holes there, but...
I did like the ending was something I hadn't seen before.
Yes.
Without giving it away, the ending was kind of I was like, okay, I haven't seen that done before. So I was happy with that. If I had to rate it, I would give it a 2.5 knives because it's not like I said, it's just the pacing is a little off to me. Otherwise, it's okay. If they'd trim it down a little bit, it would be fine.
I give it 1 knife.
Wow.
It's probably the lowest rating I've ever given any film.
No, you've given way lower than that before. You've given negative knives before.
Ooh, I have?
Yes.
Was it Antrim?
I think it was. It was either no knives or negative knives for Antrim, which is our worst reviewed movie, I think, is Antrim.
Are you an Antrim asshole?
Yeah, that was our joke on that one. But yeah, I can't be too mad at it. It was interesting to watch, but will I watch it again? Probably not.
Definitely not when I watch it again. But I will keep a lookout for his future films.
Because I can see that he does have talent. He does.
He has an eye. He definitely, there's no way that he wasn't inspired by David Lynch at all, or he's never even seen one David Lynch thing. Yeah. And you know what? If it was so easy to make a David Lynch film, everyone would be a filmmaker. Yeah, everyone would be David Lynch. And mind you, that's saying a lot for me because I could care less about David Lynch. I am not a Lynch fan. I only like Dune, and then that is it. Is there something else I like besides Dune? I'm trying to think.
Not that you've ever mentioned to me.
No,
You've repeatedly mentioned how you dislike David Lynch, except for Dune.
Oh, well, I do like Twin Peaks, not that fucking bullshit that came out recently.
The revival?
Okay, the only thing I liked the revival was, I believe, Nine Inch Nails was on there for 5 seconds. That's the only thing. And the performance wasn't even that great. I'm so sorry, Trent. I'm sorry. But that's the only thing I cared for in that. I'd like to obviously see Cal McLaughlin, but the story was just all over the place. It's just so all over the place. But he does have a good eye capturing, like Twin Peaks, which this is what this film reminds me of. Just the look of it all, you know? But also, we may be a little more... I want to say susceptible, but we may tend towards the winter horror more because it's not that common. Yeah. I love winter horror. I mean, that's the best time, but I guess maybe that's why it's not used that much because it's the most obvious. Of course, everyone's sad. It's winter time.
It's the hardest probably to film in too.
Oh yeah, for sure. But man, Long Legs though, not to go on a tangent about something, but Long Legs and the blood on the snow, the contrast, wonderful. So yeah, I'm sticking with my one knife.
All right, well, I'm sticking with 2.5. I enjoyed it for what it was.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Jump Scare the Horror Podcast. Stay tuned to the horror.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.